After consulting with over 600 different digital agency owners, consultants, and freelancers over the last 3 years, the biggest thing holding them back from growing a profitable and predictable business is that they're accepting too many different projects. Now, here's the thing. When you accept too many different types of projects, you need all kinds of different talent on your team. And as a small shop, a small firm, maybe it's just you and a couple of regular contractors, or maybe you do have a small team of under 5, you have to go hire a lot of generalists that have different skill sets that are inevitably not as good at any one thing because they're generalists, and thus their results are kind of weak, which ends up requiring you as the owner to have to quality control everything, and then you go roll your sleeves up and have to fix things, and then you're like, oh my gosh, why did I even bring these people on in the first place? That is the byproduct of too many different types of projects coming in from a wide variety of clients. Hands down, the biggest issue that we've seen after working with so many different people like yourself is that it's just too generalist. Now, not only does this make it difficult for your clients to refer you, like we've talked about in previous videos, it also makes it really difficult to create content and or marketing and even paid advertising that attracts your ideal client to you. If you've always been chasing clients and then, you have sales conversations and it's still not a fit, and you find that you're wasting time talking to the wrong people, and even the people that find you through Google searches or whatever aren't always the best fit, it's often because, again, you're too generalist. So after working with over 600 clients, I wanted to share the top 5 things that I think you should focus on in order to have clients coming to you predictably each and every month, and really finding that consistency in new leads, clients getting results, those clients are referring you to more people just like them, you're confident in the delivery of those results, and you're able to go hire people to do those projects that actually take it off of your plate and remove you from the day-to-day as the owner. So the first tip, I've already kind of given it away, is to don't generalize, specialize. If you focus on doing one thing well and then hire specialists in that area, the quality of your work will improve. The consistency of results that you get your clients will improve. And at the end of the day, you will stand out amongst your competition because you will actually look different. You will have a specific way of doing that thing versus being everything to everybody. Number 2 is to eliminate client concentration. Most generalist agencies, so, generic service agencies that are like, we do advertising or we do marketing for small to medium sized business, they end up having 1 to 3, maybe 5 clients that take up all of their bandwidth and make up a large percentage of the revenue. So much so, we have the term whale clients. You might have a whale client where if you lost that one client, you'd be out of business. That's a client concentration risk. So what do we need to do? We need to eliminate that by specializing, like we suggested in step 1. You actually would be able to have a diverse group of clients, really meaning diverse in number, not necessarily diverse in what type of client they are, because we'd be specializing. So if you have a wide range of number of clients that you can serve, so instead of only being able to serve 3 clients, you can now serve 25 plus, you actually eliminate that concentration risk. So one thing that we recommend is to have no one client make up more than 10 to 15% of your revenue. Now, many of you just went, oh my God, that sounds crazy. But here's the deal. If one client makes up over 50% of revenue and they decide that they no longer need you, or they find someone to do your generalist stuff more affordably, and they walk and you don't have the next client in line, you're going to be in trouble, period. We've seen it happen time and time again, and it's not the situation that you want to be in. So to combat that, we need to specialize, step 1, and 2, get a larger number of clients that we can serve where no one client makes up 10 to 15% of our total revenue. In case one of them leaves, we're not dead in the water. The third thing to focus on is to create a standard service offering. Many of you are going to hear me say standard service offering and freak out and think that that means you can't do custom work. You can do custom work inside of a standard process. And that's the thing that I want you to take away from this. Having a standard service offering means a consistent process for delivering your product or service. So in our agency, which was originally a generalist marketing automation agency, we specialize down into webinar funnels, live webinars and evergreen webinars. And we knew that our clients were always looking to make their live webinars evergreen, but they also delivered a lot of live webinars. These were things that they did over and over and over again. So when we standardized our service offering, we standardized into being the webinar funnel implementation team. That's how clients came in the door. Now, we did other things on the back end after that, but we were able to take the concept of having these webinars built for you in a really reliable, high converting way to the market. And a lot of people were able to then refer us. So like, oh, these guys build really great webinar funnels. I've seen their marketing. You should check them out. Oh, I actually worked with them. They're really good. And so we made sure that our service was something that clients would need on a regular basis. And a lot of our avatar would actually need and want it. We served online course creators. So that's how a lot of online course creators sell products, is webinars. So whether it was that one client that did the monthly webinar that stayed on with us for a while, or it was just the fact that a lot of online course creators kept coming into the market and they all needed webinars, we created a recurring stream of income from new clients coming into our webinar implementation package. And guess what? We would literally deliver that execution, that implementation, over the course of a 7-day window of time once we had everything we need. And our process of execution was the exact same no matter what client came through. Obviously, they each had unique webinars. Their landing pages that they got were unique. The emails that they sent were unique. They were all custom to that client, but there was a framework. We knew that there was 5 emails that needed to go out before the webinar. There was 7 in the follow-up with, a couple extra in the closing cart sequence. And we knew that there was a very repeatable process for giving our clients a webinar funnel that got them the results that they needed. This brings me to number 4, which is actually to stop thinking of yourself as a service company or an agency and think of yourself more like a product company. A product is, at least inside of service, this is where the term productization came from, is you owning a process. And your process, in our case, delivering that webinar funnel, whether it was a live or evergreen webinar funnel, what made it easier for us to, one, pitch new clients, but it also put us in control. We had a process that they wanted, and we had a process that they would adhere to because they were hiring us for our process. Because we specialized, we became experts at knowing the ins and outs of what worked when it came to these sorts of webinar funnels. And so they trusted us, which means they went through our process. We didn't take demands from them. So when you start thinking of yourself as a product company instead of an agency or a service business, you actually get to be way clear about what you're selling, and potential customers will be more likely to buy it because it's easier to buy a product that has specific outcomes tied to it. Now, number 5 is going to be the hardest for each and every one of you, but the one that if you do it will lead to success, is commit to specialization. Here's the thing. Many of you, and we've seen this with our clients, will commit to the specialization. They've committed to a standard service offering and they start looking at themselves as a product business. But once they start getting some traction there, this whale client comes back around. The old type of client, the clients you used to work with that you drooled over, will show up at the worst possible moment. You've been gaining traction and they're going to give you an opportunity that's going to be really hard to turn down. But here's the thing. If you're committing to specialization, you need to get really good at knowing who you say no to. And if you keep doing other work that falls outside of your specialization, you're going to start sending mixed messages to not only your team, but the market. You're going to go back to getting those referrals of, hey, they did this webinar funnel for me, but then they also did these other things. I know you need those. You should go talk to them. Maybe they'll do these other things. And it's going to force you to break your process that got you the success and traction that you had been looking for all this time. So once you commit to specialization, I highly encourage you to build momentum and stabilize your business before you start bolting on any other sorts of projects. Like I said, said, in a video I'll link up in the description below, I talk about how you can bolt on a recurring stream that ties to your core offer that is standardized and specialized. So you can still have a recurring component to this if that's what your fear is, but we need to avoid taking on the generalist project that was the way of old and really commit to the new way of doing business, which is specialization. So a quick recap for you guys, the 5 things that you need to do and the 5 things that we see holding most service providers, freelancers, consultants back from that predictability, from that sub 40-hour work week with high profits and a lean team, to be this. Number 1 is don't generalize, specialize. Number 2 is to eliminate that client concentration risk so that no one client makes up more than 10 to 15% of your revenue. Number 3 is create a standard service offering so that you have a consistent process for delivering that outcome. Number 4 is to stop thinking of yourself as a service business and start thinking of yourself as a product company, and your product is your process. And number 5 is to commit to specialization and make sure that you can hold off the temptation of saying yes to those general projects that pull you into scope creep and eat up all your time, your profit, and prevent you from the thing that you actually were striving to achieve in the first place. And that's a predictable, healthy, scalable business. Now, if you like this, go ahead and check out this video because we're going to break down the different delivery models that you can focus on inside of your agency to be more scalable.